everybody. Welcome to Talkie Talkie. This is our first episode, and we're your hosts, Aki and Aarti. So, I am an extrovert who's anxious whenever I speak, and I speak a lot.
I'm an introvert by nature and podcast host by nervous accident.
So, we're decided to start with our favorite thing to talk about, which is books and movies.
So, for today's episode, grab your dog eared paperback and your strong opinions because we're talking about books that became movies or shows, the best books that have been converted, books that could have been better in their books that could have been better in the interpretation, the worst books adaptation that we've seen, special mentions, and books that we would love to see on screen. So let's get into it.
Yep, and we're gonna start with the big one.
It is Lord of the Rings, LOTR, the original version by Peter Jackson in 2001 to 2003 that won multiple Oscars. And we would say that that is the gold standard because Peter Jackson took one of the most famous books in existence and made three films that we to this day rewatching 20 years later.
And it absolutely killed it because this was done when I was 11. And they did not really have the advanced technology that we have today. And they still did such a good job without AI, without too much of technology and a lot more of human interaction and human effort that went into it. So I really, really love it.
I mean, even with the casting, they were like, no one was wrong in that series.
Ian McKellen and Elijah Woods. Yeah. And so basically, everyone was perfect in their role. They did a fabulous job acting, and right down to the fact that when he kicks the helmet, and it's a real scene, and every LOTI fan knows.
Didn't he break his toes?
Yes, and he screamed like he didn't break character. He just continued to be the role.
So, I mean, what helped with this was, I think, the directors, the writers, and all took the book, the essence of the book and the storylines, and were able to successfully eliminate what was not required for the plot point. Like Tom Bombadil, there were chapters of his poems in it, and it did not contribute to the story in any way, and they were able to remove that. Later series that were done did include his role, again, very tastefully, and we didn't have to sit through all of that. So, in our opinion, that this is the gold standard, and it's 5 stars. There are no notes we can give to it. True. That's the best adaptation of a book that we've ever seen.
Yes, and stick around till the end to know more about what we have to say about the new Lord of the Rings movie that's coming up. Moving on to my personal favorite, Harry Potter. So, what do you think about the books and how they were interpreted into the movie?
Well, Harry Potter again is close to the heart, not the writer, just the books. The world building was great. It was introduced at the time where we were at the right reading age for it and we kind of grew up with the books. Yeah, as the books got darker, we went into our late teen, early 20s. Yeah, so we could relate to the books way more. Now, the movies, on the other hand, I loved the initial movies. They were great. We were able to see the proper interpretation of it.
Yeah.
And it stuck to its British roots.
Correct. And I think Chris Columbus did justice to the first two books, although I can't really, put too much blame on the other directors. The book 3 was still fine. Book 4 onwards, the size of the book just went up like significantly. So it got, I think, harder to cover too much information in just one film.
Yes, I mean, more than the information, let's start with how some of the characters were not fleshed out properly.
Or even mentioned at all, like Peeves.
Yes.
Uh,
I mean, they did Ron dirty. Yeah. They did Ginny dirty.
really bad, yeah.
Neville was not covered properly. It's like if you're a true reader of the book, you would know how strong these characters are, even with their flaws. I mean, that's the whole point of it. But the movies portrayed them as weaklings who had nothing to contribute to it. Neville did get his scene in the last movie, but that wasn't enough.
I mean, the actor had a glow up, of course. That was really nice. But the character glow up didn't really translate that well. And they included things that were just not necessary, like the burrow burning scene. I mean,
With no context, you won't understand what is it. So that's where the movies dropped the ball. I think part 6 onwards, series wise, movies, years, and they failed at it. If you hadn't read the book and just seen only the movies, movie 7 and 8 would have been very confusing for you. Because there is no correlation. There's a huge chunk of information that's been reshaped. So, based on that, we would say it's a solid 4 as a collective, but there is so much room for improvement. We'll get back to you about what we think about the series that's going to come out soon.
Correct. And moving on to Little Women. I mean, Little Women is a classic. It was written in the 1800s, so it is something that's just really innocent, really beautiful, and still at a time where women were mostly just housewives. They weren't even educated. That wasn't really important. But still, Mrs. March places so much importance on her daughters not just choosing money over love. You know, she said you have to be able to give and take in a relationship. And she asked them all to study, to travel, to learn things before they settle down. So for me, it's just every time I read it, I get a new perspective, you know, on the book, on the character, on myself even. And the fact that the 1990s movie did justice to it, I mean, I'm give it a 5 star. The purist, I'm not very fond of the newer movie by Greta Gerwig. No offense to anybody. For me, the books, like I said, it's just very innocent and very pure. And the original movie definitely did justice to it better than the newer one.
Okay, so how many stars are you going to give up for Little Women?
The 1990s one, I think about 4.5. But the 2020s or 2018 one, I think I'm going to give that like maybe a 2.5. Sorry, guys.
That is too little. Yes. Well, while we're talking about good adaptations of books into series, I think both of these, that is Sherlock, the entire series, and Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Let's start with Sherlock Holmes, wherein while these books were written very, very a long time ago, and there are multiple interpretations of it online. You will see it in movies, series. We've got Robert Downey Jr., we've got Benedict Cumberbatch, we've also got the, I think, Lucy Liu in Elementary.
Yes.
Yeah, so like, I mean, these are the recent ones that we're talking about. I don't think I would even give Enola Holmes
Yeah,
a couple of marks. Yeah.
I mean, I think she'll get a 3 only because Henry Cavill's in it.
Bias, so biased. But yes, so for Henry Cavill, that one gets 3 out of 5. But for the every other interpretation out there, I don't think we find to
No,
talk about it.
Every interpretation brought its own brilliance to it. So, I mean, who better than Benedict Cumberbatch or Robert Downey Jr.?
We call them neurospicy people.
I did not know that was the term.
When you're neurodivergent, you're neurospicy. And I think, I mean, he is neurospicy with loads of drugs in him. So, oh, it worked out to be. So, we're talking about Sherlock Holmes, not
the anecdotes.
yes. So, yes, we find nothing wrong with any of the
5 out of 5.
yes. And Coraline is a personal favorite for both of us, wherein
Who comes up with a horror story for kids and then doesn't scare them exactly, but just enough to give them tiny nightmares?
oh, I just love it because that's the easiest Halloween costume that I can come up with. I just put buttons on my eyes.
We have done that, not even for Halloween. Yeah, the fact that it took Neil Gaiman's story and Tim Burton's absolutely brilliant skills to animate that into a horror movie.
Yes.
So I am scared of the other mothers, just say.
Other mother. Yes.
The other
Button mother. Right. So yes, that's another thing that gets
515.
again, we're not supporting the author. We just love the work that's being done, regardless of that. So having said all of that, I think, well, while we've covered the best ones that we
Could
know,
think of, yeah.
could think, at least what we could think of, and there are many more out there, but these are our personal favorites. There's another category which we can think of, which is could be better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
The heartbreak of our generation. Game of Thrones.
Yes, absolutely. That is one tale. It's like of 2 shows with seasons 1, 3, and 4. It was absolutely perfect till season 4, and the adaptation of George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire, brilliant. Though again, they cut out a lot of things from the book, which was fine. It was still going at the pace of the book.
My husband and I would get ready before work and sit and catch the latest episode. So, you know, we were fans. And the Red Wedding scene, despite people who've read the book knowing that it was coming, it was still really shocking for those of us who watched it for the first time.
Yeah.
And
Here is where it gets painful, right? Once the show overtook the books, that's when we see a decline of the series itself. HBO did a wonderful job till then, but something happened there where it completely lost the plot, the thread, everything it lost. And the final two seasons, especially season 8, was
yeah,
the lowest rated series that they found, and it ruined the experience for everyone that was there.
I think it just got difficult for a team of writers to try and emulate the original author's style and what he could have done with the characters, with the storyline. What I found interesting was there is an AI generated. It's a trailer for the next season, which is not happening.
Show it actually, yeah. You put it up, yeah.
Yeah, and it's done by a fan, of course, and I think I would really watch that, despite the fact that season 8 ended as a heartbreak for many of us. I think this would be a nice way to start season 9.
Is this the one?
I think so, yeah.
Let's watch it. Who's that? The white water? Oh, it was so nice. Final winter.
This can't be. Impossible.
It is so.
We thought the story was over. We were wrong about that too.
How long do we have?
The cold does not announce itself. There is a boy on the Iron Throne who has seen the beginning of the world. And even he has no name for what is coming. She remembers who she was. That is what makes her dangerous. She does not walk through the dead like a mindless thing.
Wait, so Daenerys becomes a White Walker in this?
She walks through
that
them
looks
like a
like- I
queen
know what that
returning
is,
to a
wait.
kingdom that wronged her. There is a man beyond the wall who died for this world once.
But
Who
it
killed the
also
woman he
looks
loved
like
for this world once.
well done. I see what you made, but
Even the dragon remembers her.
so it's not kind.
This comes back as a white water.
And somewhere inside the cold,
Wait.
she
Okay.
knows he is there. He is not the Night King. The Night King was a soldier, a weapon. This is something older, something that was here before the first men set foot on this continent.
Okay, I
Before
love
the
this trailer.
children carved their marks in the weirwood trees.
I would definitely watch this.
Yes.
He saw her, and the look on his face was not the look of a man afraid of a monster. It was the look of a man who loves someone he cannot save and cannot stop loving.
sure.
Let's end this.
Sure. Okay, we do really like what is.
Absolutely. I would definitely watch this, and I think that is the real justice that we all deserve for Game of Thrones. Which I think I would give like a 3 out of 5, maybe.
Yes,
Only because of the first 4 seasons.
definitely. If they had ended it on a better note, yeah, it could have got 5 out of 5 because I was not disappointed with how the storyline progressed till that point. Okay. Movie trailer that moved us out of it. So yes, moving on. There's another.
So this is one of my favorites again. I'm the one who's really into classics. This is not even the actual book. This is the cookbook that's based on Anne of Green Gables and all the recipes mentioned in it. Like if you know Anne, you know that she's clumsy. You know that she cannot listen to instructions well because she's off dreaming. So what does she put? She puts liniment, I think, in a cake, which
Puts what?
liniment. It's like a chemical.
Wow.
It's by mistake.
Poison?
I know. I think it's used to treat something. I'm not sure. But she wasn't supposed to put that in there. And she had a cold and she had no idea what she was putting in there. So for me, Anne of Green Gables is someone I have grown up with. I think I for the first time, I read this story when I was maybe 10. And it is the story of a little orphan girl.
She also read it last week.
I read it every year along with Little Women. And for me, it's this story of this little orphan girl in Canada who's, finally found a family to belong to. They are like a brother and sister who have never married, and spoilers. That's just the beginning of the book. It is a series of, I think, 9 books in total. And she wrote this, the author wrote this, Ellen Montgomery wrote it throughout her growing up as well, her going through wars. So you can see that the last book is actually about how Anne's kids go and join the army.
So this we're talking about, I mean, this is the books.
Yeah.
And books.
And the Netflix show, for me, I mean, it is a very negligible show.
Wait, before we go to the Netflix part of it, from Anne's Liniment Cake, we have Mercy on Us, and you flavored that cake with anodyne liniment. I broke the liniment bottle last week and poured what was left into an empty vanilla bottle. I suppose it's partly my fault. I should have warned you, but for pity's sake, why couldn't you have smelled it? This is Marilla.
Carla Cuthbert.
Yeah.
So she's the lady who adopts her.
So, how does this liniment cake translates into Netflix show?
Oh, I think they did do a decent job in showing it, but my point is the characters felt very two-dimensional. It didn't strike you hard the same way that the 1985 Megan Follows miniseries did. Because that entire series, Megan Follows was first of all born to be Anne of Green Gables. She was definitely perfect for the role. And all the characters were portrayed the same way that's described in the book. And it's set in rural Canada, I want to say, back in the 1900s, early 1900s. And it is just, again, like Little Women, it's very innocent, it's very fresh. It's all about, it describes the book the setting so well that you actually feel like you're in Canada in the early 1900s. You're in this very Christian community, and it is a very different experience reading these books versus all the other books that we have mentioned, because you have the description, but it is not as long as a Harry Potter or a Game of Thrones. They're much smaller books, but definitely very descriptive and puts you right there in the setting. So for me, the Netflix show gets like a 2.5. Only also because Netflix being Netflix has made everything so visually dark.
Why, yes.
I can't even see what's happening on screen. So Netflix gets 2.5 out of 5, but the original Megan Follows one gets a 5 on 5. So please watch it if you can.
Yeah. Which one would you tell people to watch? The 1985 miniseries?
Absolutely.
Nah. So, okay.
Sorry, Netflix.
I mean, that's a topic for other time wherein
Yeah.
why everything is so dark in this world.
True.
Even when we have better lighting. But having said that,
Oh, yeah.
why your heartbreaks? We have a lot of heartbreaks. I mean, let's start with our biggest heartbreak, at least at that time, which was the movie and the book series Inkheart.
Yes.
I mean, it had the best cast. It had Brandon Fraser talking, it had his energy in it. And the concept is incredible, wherein there's a book, there's a book, when you read it, characters from it come to life. And,
Oh, no, sorry. It's not and or. It's like an exchange.
change that happens. So there's a lot that excellent world building, and a lot was said in these books, and a lot of things were done. But what did they do with it? They combined, I think it was 4 or 5 books.
Initially, it was 3.
Now it's 4. They combined all the 3 into one. Such a rush job on it, and
I think they had a lot of material to work with, which I may have freaked them out. I'm not sure what happened exactly, but then it just fell apart. And if you look at it, Brendan Fraser is used to this because, of course, in The Mummy also you read people to life with the Book of the Dead. But in this, it's more like a swapping. It's every reader's dream basically to enter their fantasy.
yes, but I don't think it was the acting that let the movies.
Not at all. It was the writing.
It had Helen Mirren in it, Brendan Fraser, and absolute stellar cast. But the story was so rushed that it was a hack job, and it really broke our heart. I'm just happy that last year this new one came out.
Yeah.
When was this? 2025 itself?
No, I think it was 2023 or
3, The Color of Revenge. And as Inkheart fans, we were just happy to see another book that came out. Not close to the original, but still a good book to read.
At least you're revisiting the world without, crying over how sad the movie was.
So we give it an abysmal 2 out of 5. It doesn't even get the 2.5. We give it 2 only because we like Brendan Fraser.
And I'm really happy that he's back in.
Yes, it was. In a lot of films, yeah, that's there, and I would love to see
We're always
more of
rooting
it.
for him. Yeah.
Yes. So yes, that was one of the books. I think our next book are we're talking about the worst ones, and our next one would be. I think we need to take a minute of silence before we even mention it, their name. Yeah, we won't literally take a minute of silence, but the movie that we need is
Aragon. I mean,
the series entire one. And this book was so beloved. I mean, Christopher did such a good job of writing it as a teenager.
yeah.
It had dragons, it had mythology. It was a unique angle to the entire fictional world that was there. So many things involved in it.
Many people actually argued how, it wasn't completely original. He based it off Star Wars, I think. I'm not sure. But my point is, a teenager wrote this. He built an entire world and he did such a fabulous job. Even though some of the books were a little too detailed, the movie really, it was beyond a flop. It was just not worth it. You had Jeremy Irons. You could have done spectacularly with him. He was Scar. He is Scar. And I don't know. I mean, for me, it was just very depressing that.
I mean, even the fan community to this day, they mourn the adaptation of it.
Yeah.
Or rather, we would like to erase it from our memory. That means he had been made. And while Christopher has been very diplomatic about it, when you listen to him, you can read between the lines. He wasn't too happy with the movie adaptation either.
If I wrote a book and that's how it turned out into the movie, I would be depressed.
Yeah, so 1 star.
Yeah.
And that is, it gets 1 star only because we really like the book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Finally, in our list of sad versions of the movie or of the book, it is one of my favorite series, though people would say it's for young adults. It is the Mortal Instruments series, and this is the first book, of course, City of Bones. There are, I think, two different. There was one set of movies and one set of one was a TV series. They were both badly done, according to me. They could have done much, 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 much better because again, my point with all these books is that there's a lot of material to work with.
Yes.
I agree that you need to cut out the extra fittings, but that doesn't mean you cut out the depth of the story also. So for me, Cassandra Clare did a really good job with building. Again, world building is everything in fantasy fiction, and she's done a really good job. And it just did not translate. It just lost the plot somewhere, and I would probably give it a 2 out of 5 only because only because the visuals was too good. They just did not know how to stick to the book.
Would you recommend the books to teenagers or adults or young adults?
Slightly older teenagers, I feel.
So young adults.
Yeah, most adults would find it too young for them, but definitely not under the age of 15 maybe, because there are certain scenes that are not very friendly. So yeah, 2 on 5 for the series, which both of them. So
Okay, that makes me question another thing. I mean, these are things that we love, but there are genres that are not our thing, but still we've liked the movie adaptation.
I like the books in this series, but I'm not very sure about the movie because I don't want to cry that much.
So, I mean, let's think about The Notebook, for instance.
Or any Nicholas Sparks book. Yeah.
Actually, that's also there. So his adaptations are a whole genre on themselves, like onto themselves.
It is the when you need to cry yourself to sleep genre, I feel. All of his books are just about heartbreak.
Even if it has Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams with great chemistry, they are going to make you cry.
Yes.
So while it's not our thing, we really liked both the book and the movie adaptation, despite its liberties.
Yeah, true. I mean, they took liberties, but it was still a really nicely done movie, and it does make you cry the same way that the book does. Keep tissues handy. So I think a 4 star.
For its reputation, yes, it gets that. And I think in the same line, we've got P.S. I Love You.
Yeah, Cecilia Ahern. Ahern?
Ahern? I
am sorry.
Ahern.
Now, please don't hate me.
Ahern. We're going to go with that. Yes. So, yeah, this book, again, all of these we read as teenagers in our early 20s.
Yeah.
and a lot of things happening around us. So all of these at that time was like, oh, they are the best books out there.
Those failed relationship.
So this one completely wrecked, I think, both of us for whatever reason that was
Yeah.
going on. The film
I really like Jared Butler in anything. So
and Hilary Swank. I mean,
she was still really good actress. I'm not denying that. But Jared Butler is Jared Butler. So he just has to be high. So I like the movie, but they could have like there was a lot more in the book. So
do you feel like the adaptation wasn't too polished or?
no, it was the books were set in Ireland. So for me,
Yes, but the books were more raw and messy. Did you clean it up for the movie?
sort of, but then it changes. I feel like the Irish background could have made it feel more whimsical, and I miss that.
So it's the Irish grief versus the American grief. They're not same cinematically.
Visually, yes. Not just visually, nothing else is.
So sure, how many stars would you like to give this?
I think three or 3.5.
Because it's
Jared Butler.
Gerard Butler. So for Gerard Butler, 3 out of. He's touching, but it softens too many edges.
Yeah, and which brings us to our last book in this segment, which is Eat, Pray, Love. And I'm very confused about this because it's not my genre for sure. It feels very self-help, self-growth like thing. And Julia Roberts looks amazing in it, of course.
I mean, they did finally come to India. She went to a lot of places. She went to Italy and she went to Bali. And yes, all of that is, I mean, it's a nice book. Not our cup of tea, but nice book. And most of it got reduced to just montages of her growing.
Yeah.
So I think we can give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, that is being nice and most likely only for Julia Roberts. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have one more book in which this is again an old book of Jane Eyre. Yes, Jane Eyre, and I haven't seen the English version. If it's even been made, I don't know. But I saw this. I saw the adaptations of this in regional languages, which were Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, all having the same plot. And these are really old movies.
What is it called again? Shanti.
Nilayam or something. Yeah, Shanti Nilayam.
I haven't watched it. I'm gonna hear your
No, I mean, for its time, it was really well done. From what I had read in my book to what I was seeing on screen, despite it having our Indian touches of songs in between.
Oh my god.
Yes, the storyline was still there. I don't think the English adaptations have songs in them. Or people dancing while they're happy and depressed. So,
But on that level, we also have Sense and Sensibility and Pride and Prejudice as Kandakonde and Balle Balle from Amritsar to LA respectively.
was that the one with Aishwarya and
Both were with Aishwarya. I think there was a series being done. I don't remember which other one was adapted, but this was just, I think they did really well translating it and making it seem as Indian as possible. Though Pride and Prejudice does feel very Indian with the mom being like, oh my God, I have 4 or 5 daughters. I need to get them married. Oh, that's all my life is. That's all their life is. And I needed to be a rich husband. They need to have a dowry. I think that's why it was very easy to adapt that.
yeah.
So,
So I would give it a 3.
yeah.
Yeah. Only because I would like to see new adaptations of it. Though it's an old book, I'm pretty sure there'll be a modern adaptation of it.
I'm
Like-
sure.
I mean-
it though.
So yeah, that also gives us a good place to think about books that we would like to see as series or movies. So what would be your top pick for it?
So I recently came across this author on Instagram and then instantly bought her books, which have been re-released. She's called Evie Woods and the book is called The Lost Bookshop. I think she has 4 books out and they confuse you to perfection because you can't be sure if it's magic or if it's real. It falls into magic realism, I think. You have your own interpretation of whether the world that she's building is real or whether it's fantasy. And it's again set in Ireland, so there's fairies, there's magic.
You see a pattern, right?
I just want to escape, so this gives me the perfect opportunity to do so. Yes.
You have one more recommendation for.
Oh, absolutely. This series is a favorite for my dad and me. I'm not sure if there are too many other Indians who would say that they like this, but this is
What is this?
the Septimus Heap series. This is the first book. It's called Magic. It is again a book of 8, a series of 8 books, I think. And It is about how kids get swapped at birth, and it's the whole seven sons of the seven son concept, and how magic is literally concentrated in him, percolated, and like a really
The forces within him.
yes, within him for sure. And it is beautifully done. There's so much detail in this. It would be really nice to see this translate into an actual movie or a TV series would be better. I think that would do it more justice.
And in the similar line, I think
There is another one, yeah, by Trudy Canavan. I really like the series. It's a series of 3 books. And although it seems big, don't get frightened by it. You will finish it really fast. And this is set in a dystopian world where people are divided into those with and without magic. And it's just,
okay.
so it is a really nice book series. And I think all of us relate to dystopia, especially now. So, with the world so unstable. So, I really think this should be turned into a movie as well.
Okay.
And similarly, you have.
Yeah, similarly, I think for me, I would like to see Sea of Poppies being turned into a movie. It's brilliantly done. It has a lot of Indian touches to it. While again, he can be verbose about how he describes things, but it was a very interesting book to read about the entire, how opium trades were happening, what was happening to the people on ground, how they were intertwined, while there are protagonists and villains in this also. But it's a nicely done book. It's a series on its own. I wouldn't mind if all 3 were combined and made into one movie.
Yeah.
But again, as we've seen in the past, that usually does not work out very well.
If that well, I mean, I can. This is a special mention that was unexpected. It's not prepared. Durandar is 2 movies of almost 4 hours each, but he still got Aditya Dar still got people to sit and watch the whole thing. Like even when you're getting up to go get your snacks, you're still rushing to get back. He's done a really good job with it. People may say a lot of things about it. But in my opinion, if you're able to keep people hooked on for 4 hours in the theater, you've arrived, man.
Yes.
You've really arrived. And he's done that twice. And the actors did a fabulous job. They played their role really well. And there's not a thing I would change about it. So I was still saying, yeah, you can combine it into a single movie and do it really well. Do not do what Aragon did. Do not do what Ikat did.
Okay. So let's see. I mean, these are our whimsical talk. Maybe we should put out some AI trailers to get people's interest out there. Maybe next time we can show you some of those if we start doing it. Now, while we wish to see all of these, we are getting to see 2 of our favorites.
3 actually. You're my other favorite.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, 3 or 4 of our favorites that are going to come in 2027.
Yeah.
Most of them, I think.
Yeah.
Or early 2028.
Okay.
And these are the specials that we've saved for the last. What do you want to start with? Hello, TR?
Of course, go standard again.
Well, this time we're getting a lot of the rings as The Hunt for Gollum.
Yeah, The Hunt for Gollum.
Yeah.
And it's set between the incidents that happened during the Hobbit series and the entire Lord of the Rings series itself. And of course, our favorite, Ian McKellen, is reprising his role as Gandalf. At his age, I'm really excited to see, how he's able to actually act. I think he's over 80 something.
Okay, no. Ian McKellen, even at his age, is doing a really good job.
Yeah.
And we are excited for it. Did we see the trailers already for it? I saw a couple of scenes.
Not much. It's
So-
very little because it's still in production. So
Okay. And Peter Jackson is producing it. So the original creative team is involved. Can we say we are cautiously hopeful?
I'm gonna be just like excited because the Hobbit was also nice. Though people said that he didn't do justice, they did do justice to the books. I think they did. I'm like the details of anything related to Tolkien are pretty deep. So it's difficult to know what to cut and what to keep. So that's the only person who could write an entire book on a tree. I'm sure. Like just about a tree and the leaf and the root system and whatever. But I'm really excited about it. And they aren't changing a few of the actors, of course, because it is set way ahead, way back in time. So you can't have.
We cannot reverse age Orlando Bloom.
I'm sad about that. But then he looks great.
We cannot bring back Aragorn. He is also aged. Though I think this is before the events of Fellowship, so will Aragorn be involved in it?
Yes, he is. He and Gandalf
And Andy Serkis is directing
Yeah.
it and also acting as Gollum.
always.
So that's going to be
Viggo Mortensen.
Viggo Mortensen, yes, Aragorn for us. So we are excited to see that, and hopefully when the trailers are out, we'll be able to talk about it more. But the second one, which has caused a lot of
Asters.
yes, it caused a stir, which will be Harry Potter. Yeah, revival of Harry Potter, but this time as a series. So it's a full readaptation of all 7 books, which means
I mean, it is going to be, I think, 1 season per book. I'm not sure about that. So, it is something that they'd spoken about. I think it's 1 season per book, or 1.5 seasons or something like that. So they are looking at going into detail, and there are a lot of changes in the story. But we all know we can't really talk about too much.
let me get this out. What are your views on the new Snape?
Yeah. Well, I don't have anything against the actor.
Well, let's see how they do. Maybe they'll flesh out the characters better.
Yeah, and I'm
I will.
still gonna watch it. I'm still gonna like it. In general.
So what we're talking about is the renewal of it and all. So we are not the target audience for this, clearly. The target audience is
a younger
audience who may or may not have read the Harry Potter books, and if they get into it as a series, they will love it. Because the story still remains the same.
But they don't have the same attachment to the series that we did. Like, I remember waiting. This was back when Amazon, or was it Flipkart? Flipkart had just started pre-orders for Indians for the books, and I think it was the 5th book that I was waiting for a while at my mom's boss's place, and I just couldn't wait to get back home and just start reading it. Before, one of the newspapers had given us a spoiler for, I think it was Half-Blood Prince, because that's where Dumbledore dies, right? Like, so it gave me a spoiler. Even, yeah, it said, "Who do you think is going to die?" I'm like, dude, you can't do a poll like that.
Well, see, though, we are judging the connection of children to this series of how we connected to
Yeah, it's going to be different.
Maybe they connect to it the same way. We never know.
We don't know.
We'll know it because the new cast that has come up, whoever they've they do kind of remind us of when we started watching Harry Potter. So we're just hoping that the newer generation also connects with the same love, same passion.
I get it. It's
For a person who spent most of her teenage on MuggleNet and then Pottermore.
yeah,
Yeah. Which house are you in?
Hufflepuff.
Gryffindor. So I am already seeing that with the newer generation, wherein they don't mind talking about Harry Potter is still a big thing,
Yeah.
and the series is going to be a big hit.
And we will let you know how it goes next year. I think that's when it's going to release.
Uh-huh.
Finally, we come to one of my favorite stories growing up. Enid Blyton was one of the biggest influences. We grew up knowing her as Enid, but then we realized Enid's not how you pronounce it. It's Enid.
Pre-internet era.
I love her writing. That's all that I know about. And I really like The Magic Faraway Tree because it is absolutely every child's imagination come to life. You're climbing a tree, and at the top of the tree, there's different lands. Sometimes it could be good, sometimes it could be bad. Like, you go to the land of birthdays, and you all get a gift, and the birthday girl gets, like, she gets a pair of wings that actually fly, which is again every child's dream. So I'm really looking forward to the show that's coming up with Nicola Kho. So I'm really looking forward to the movie, though it is completely different from the book. It's set in a modern time, and I think the kids are more hooked onto their devices. So it's relatable in the sense that today's kids are very device first, and this tells you, hey, maybe you should just get out and go to the forest behind your house.
Please don't wander into forest, kids.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
Oh, so 2027 is going to be interesting with all the new series, movies coming out.
That we want to see.
Could have been better. So many more things that we can talk about. If there are any books and their adaptations that you've liked, please do let us know. We would like to cover more books
Yeah.
and their adaptations. Like, for example, we have Expanse. We would like to get into Sherlock Holmes, the entire series, the different characterizations that are there.
The books are always better because there's nothing that replaces imagination. But there are certain people who can get it almost there, like what Peter Jackson?
Yes, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, what Peter Jackson did with Lord of the Rings. So
Yes.
we are going to keep coming back to that because that is
Those are proof of that adaptation can be an act of love and not just we're going to showcase this.
But
on screen.
Aragon is proof that can also be a crime and also stay hate crime. Okay. If you enjoyed today's episode and would like to hear more from what we have to say, leave us a review. Tell a friend who has opinions about books or movies or music or anything in the world and isn't afraid to share them.
Don't forget to subscribe. We are Talkie Talkie. We listen, we judge a little,
And still make you feel safe.
see you next time.